These teams have played each other 13 times over the last 2 years. Knew each other very well. Knew it was going to be difficult. We saw that last night. Just game one, 122-90 win for the Houston Rockets here in Houston. I'm Aaron Falk with UtahJazz.com here with Angie Treasure, Eric Woodyard of the Deseret News, and Andy B. Larsen of the Salt Lake Tribune. Triple team. Guys, just starting off, obviously I have to talk about James Harden off the top. Jazz tried to employ a strategy that I think was talked about quite a bit as a possibility, something that the Bucks have done, something some other teams have done, forcing Harden to the right. Andy, what did you think of that? And you seem to think that could be effective going forward, even though maybe it wasn't the best last night.
Yeah, look, I get why the Jazz did it, because James Harden has that unstoppable step-back three-point shot that he makes at 39.8%. You know, like, you can't give up a three at 40% every time James Harden wants that shot. So I get why the Jazz wanted to take that away. What I thought they didn't do as well at was staying with James Harden as he drove. You know, kind of, if you're going to give him that lane, you got to stay with it and make that next pass, that next shot, that floater, that layup difficult. And that's where the Jazz didn't really do. And so as a result, you saw a lot of lobs to Clint Capella. You saw a lot of open P.J. Tucker threes or Eric Gordon threes. And obviously the Rockets made them last night and made the Jazz pay.
Eric, I mean, anything that you see that you can do to slow him down a little bit more?
I thought they did it. They tried to do their best with it. You know, he didn't shoot the best percentage yesterday. He also picked up 4 or 5 fouls as well yesterday. But I agree with Andy on that. They got to stay with him. Like, he was just blowing right by him, getting to the basket and just finding Clint Capella mostly under the basket. So they got to, like you say, do a better job of sticking with him, forcing him that way. But you can't just give him the whole side, because it then becomes a 2-on-1. You know, from that position where he's an advantage. You know, with Gobert or whoever's in the paint, whether it be Favors or whoever, and he was eating out alive last night.
Really limited him, like, in terms of free throw attempts. What did you like about that, and that's something that you see the whistle being maybe that tight going forward?
Yeah, and that's a big part of the series, obviously, is keeping him away from the free throw line as well. And the Jazz did do a good job of that. Now, some of that's just because he was able to make the passes as easily as he was, and maybe if you put him in trickier positions, that's where he can kind of get out of the handcuffs, so to speak, by getting to the free throw line. But yeah, that will continue to be a key moving forward. You know, he averages 10 free throws made a game, so that the Jazz limited him to under 5 last night was a win. Obviously, that's not all it takes. You have to take away some of the Rockets' other easier shots too.
Angie?
Yes.
The debate always is, I mean, there's no debate that Harden is an incredible scorer. Is he fun to watch? Is it frustrating? As someone that's watching the game, what do you guys?
I think not having him on the free throw line as much makes it more enjoyable to watch. I think Harden's more of like a hardcore basketball player's type of player to watch, where you enjoy watching him carve up defenses. I mean, the step backs are obviously incredible. I think the Jazz obviously took him out of what makes him painful to watch sometimes, which is a lot of that ISO ball. He became a playmaker last night, which is what we all saw. But I think this series was always gearing up to be less enjoyable to watch, especially for Jazz fans.
A lot of, yeah.
No, I was going to say, definitely is. Sometimes it's frustrating to watch. Last night it wasn't as bad. But it's frustrating as well when he can bump you too, and like you can't touch him or look at him, man. I mean, he sells fouls very well too, so just it's not the most fun to watch. But like I said, last night it wasn't as bad. He was more so making plays and not relying on officials, as much as he usually does.
I thought last night's ref crew did a really good job, and
Yeah,
honestly, that's something that the Jazz can sell those fouls back when James Harden is using his left to prevent the Jazz from catching up, whether that be Ricky Rubio or Royce O'Neal. They can sell that foul too, and maybe draw some of the offensive fouls. He had 5 last night. Maybe an extra one may have allowed the Jazz to stay closer in the game.
And no question, just the possession battle there. Houston numbers, almost 20 more field goal attempts. Something Quinn Snyder pointed out is post-game press conference last night. How do you close the gap there and make it a more even?
You have to win the rebounding battle against this team. They were 28th in the league in defensive rebounding over the course of the regular season, and that's because they do switch so much on the defensive end. That means when Clint Capella is out guarding a Joe Ingles or a Ricky Rubio or a Donovan Mitchell, that means that Rudy Gobert's down there underneath with a Chris Paul or a P.J. Tucker or someone like that trying to box him out. Rudy and Derek Favors have to win more of those defensive rebounding battles or offensive rebounding battles, and get some easy putbacks, second chance points. Last night the Jazz only had 10 second chance points. You look at the games where the Rockets allowed 20 or more, they're only 5 and 9 in those kind of games. So that's kind of one of the another path for the Jazz to have more success is by owning the offensive glass, against that switching defense.
Donovan Mitchell looks down at the box score last night, sees 5 turnovers, no assists. Obviously not happy with his stat line. How do you get Donovan going a little bit more, and I guess how do you get that offense going a little bit more?
They got to make more shots. Simple as that. We know offensively, guys need to play better. Simple as that. They need to make shots. They were getting wide open looks as well. So he was making the reads a lot of times, but they were knocking them down. So he could at least had 3 or 4 that I saw specifically that they just didn't knock the shots down. The performance that Joe Ingles had last night, he could play a lot better. And then they just have to make the game easier for him, setting better screens, just spacing a little better, so he won't have to force. I think last night we saw him playing a lot like how he was earlier in the season, and we hadn't really saw that, the second half. He started to really, make better reads and stuff like that. So I think it's up, obviously it's up to him as well, but his teammates have to help him out as well, and they have to space the floor better, put him in better positions, and he has to, as well, make better reads as well. But, the 0 assists, that's as much as it's on him, it's on his teammates as well to step up. And he needs better performances. He needs a second guy to step up, whether it's Joe Ingles or Jay Crowder or whoever it is. It has to come from somebody. Just
watching it didn't look like Donovan was a black hole. I saw him finding his teammates for open shots, and they just didn't ever go down. So to me, it didn't look like he was playing selfishly. It just, obviously, he couldn't find a teammate who was making shots.
Not at all. And honestly, again, against that switching defense, which is so unique what the Rockets do, there's that split second where you have to attack when the defense is switching, and there's kind of that little moment of indecision. I thought too frequently he waited just a second to kind of take a beat, get a sense of his surroundings. And honestly, that's where Houston's defense is so good at getting into position, kind of loading up for what drive is coming or what's coming next from Donovan Mitchell. And honestly, you have to give them credit. They've played really well defensively. Certainly we saw that last night.
It's a really good team.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's a good team. Yeah,
it's
simple as that.
yeah.
PJ Tucker, he's tough on anybody, as well. That's just one of the guys, but
yeah,
they're tough.
We heard from Thabo Sefolosha and Derek Favors after practice today. How would you guys describe the mood around the team despite that loss right now?
I think they're still in good spirits. Even before entering the matchup, a lot of people thought they were entering like a funeral or something. Like everybody thought it was over. You drew the Rockets, it's over with. But I still thought they had a positive mentality going into the series. And even after the loss, I feel like, Donovan said last night, it's only 1 loss. It's not like 2 losses. And we saw what happened last year where they bounced back and took a game too. So I think they're still in good spirits. I think it's a lot of positives to take away. Even though it was the score said it was 32 points, I still think, for most of the game, it was like they got it to within 6 and they didn't play good at all. So I think it is positive things to go forward from that performance yesterday.
And coach seems to have good game plans for game twos.
Yeah.
They've had a short history of losing that first game, and then aside from a Joe Johnson buzzer beater in LA, but and then adjusting in game 2 and knowing how to come out with an improved game plan, or at least stick with an existing game plan and have faith in it.
And I think you've seen the Jazz be able to really adapt and get better in that second game, third game of when they are trying to do something new against a tricky defense, or it's something that a team does uniquely offensively. They've shown they've had a long time history, like you say, of finding those weaknesses, being able to take advantage of them, and really kind of winning that adjustment battle, so to speak.
Yeah, Ricky Rubio said it last night. We have the best coach, or one of the best coaches, if not the best coach at making adjustments in the NBA. And Quinn Snyder, he's putting in.
He is.
How much sleep did you get last night?
None.
Yeah, so.
Less than we did, certainly. And honestly, the players believe in Quinn so much, too. There are some players that will doubt what a coach's game plans are. That's not the case with this Jazz team, and quite, I think rightfully so, based on what Quinn Snyder's done in his NBA coaching tenure.
Yeah, and another day tomorrow to figure things out and make those adjustments and get ready for game 2. That'll do it from Houston, and we will be back tomorrow. Thanks, guys, so much. Thank you guys for joining us.
No problem.